right here, and I'm in Linden, Washington, where they've been having this music festival all week. And actually, I think I did a little video I didn't put up yet to show it. And he was teaching Arabian dancing and music and showing how the different forms of their music and instruments and stuff like that. So it was really interesting. And he showed all these different um, types of music on the same instrument from around. I don't know if that was around the world, but it was around their part of the world anyway. So it was really interesting listening to his story and how they dance and how they use their hands to mean stuff and when they're dancing. It's Arabian. He was Muslim, I guess. It's considered Muslim. I don't know that much about Muslim. Let me see who we got here coming in. I don't know how long I'll be able to do this because it's I'm standing the whole time, so, and I've been standing for hours, but I knew it's Sunday and this is usually the time when I am doing my live stream, so I was just in at Michelle's. Shout out to Michelle XX. We were over there talking about food mostly. So if anybody wants to pick up there where we left off, but don't have to. So anyway, this is the town that I used to live in, probably 5 years ago, probably 5 years ago. And then I realized that I was like within like 300 feet of a big substation electrical plant that I couldn't see because there was all these trees blocking it. And then one day I just took a different route when I was walking, and then I bypassed all these trees, and then I was able to see this humongous substation, and could explain why I was not feeling good. But I get hit up with the frequencies and the radiation. I'm super sensitive to everything because I've avoided things most of my life. And I think that's what's helped me in the long run, but it's also made me probably a target because of that. And or on people's lists and stuff because I don't buy the bullshit. I just don't want to have any, I just somehow knew in my gut a lot of things, starting like as far back as the fluoride, which I've known about for probably close to 40 years. And I happened to be in one of the cities that in the late 40s, 1948 I think it was, they started the fluoride experiment on the people of Newburgh, New York. They had the Kingston-Newburgh trials, and I was, that's where I was born, in Newburgh, New York. So we were the first victims of the fluoride when they put it into the city, and we were the test city. So going back that far, and then even, like I've always kind of knew about the inoculations, that they're not what they say they are. I had my last one in 1980s, was the last time I ever got jabbed, and it was it the 80s or even the 70s? It was a really long time ago because it was one of my friends, like in the neighborhood, that had hepatitis B, and they were telling us we all have to get the Hep B shot now. And that's when I ended up with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. That's where that comes from, if you don't know. People can trace it back maybe to see if they had a Hep B shot and see if it correlates with their disease. These are diseases they're making up or concocting, and a lot of it, I believe, comes from the nanotech, and I am not totally clear on that yet, but I know that it plays a big part in it. And they've been weaponizing everything. I mean, not just the food. I mean, I really have been observant about the food, but it's just everything. Our lights, the street lights, the car lights in our house. It just everything has been weaponized. The porn, the whole thing with that, people just losing themselves in that, and they're being mind controlled and manipulated and actually addicted to these things. How they were able to addict the whole world, and now it's just, they're running on fear, but I don't know how long they're going to be able to pull this off, because I think that they're getting desperate. I think they're running, they're losing their food source, and they know it, and there's different ways of how they can manipulate people into doing what they want, and yet it's the person who does it. It's their choice. They're still offering it to you as a choice, so it's always your free will, and you choose it, just like people are choosing. They think they're choosing healthy diets, but it's not really all that healthy, because we've been led to believe certain things are healthy when they're really not. And I mean, like, for example, the vegan diet, or vegan, however you want to say it. The people are just so ignorant of the food system and what's going down with it. I believe we've been programmed to eat like 3 times a day with snacks in between, and the food pyramid is upside down. They want us having, multiple carbs and, cereals and grains, and then a tiny bit of fat, when it's totally opposite. It should be lots of fat and no carbs, or very few. We just don't need all this food that they have us believing we need. And I've always been kind of a small eater. I've never been on any kind of super restricted diet. I've never, except when I'm fasting. That's a different story, because then you just don't eat at all. So that's pretty restrictive there, when you can't eat anything. And I've been doing fasting and detoxing for the past 6 years now. So I believe that has a lot to do with why I'm in good health for the most part. I probably, people take me for much younger than I am. And so most of you know that I'm 71 years old. And like, I've been out dancing this, like, last few days, because they're having these music festivals and all these dancing, and I was swing dancing and everything, and I love it. So I'm trying to find more places where I can do this, but with all this nonsense, they don't want us 6 feet apart, let alone dancing next to each other. So it's really fun to be dancing. So I hope people are doing this kind of stuff and doing what they love to do, and not doing it because they're afraid to. They should just go out and do what they love to do, and try to be as creative as possible. Whether it's, painting a picture, or painting a fence, or, building a birdhouse, or whatever it is. It helps to keep your mind engaged, your hands busy, and just doing things that are creative and bring you joy. And I don't think people are doing enough of this. They're just all into their mindset, and it's not really even their fault, because they don't even know what's happening to them. I mean, we've all been targeted on some level, and but the more we become aware of it, the more we can fight back, because we need power in numbers. We had to get organized somehow and start standing up to this. This is, the future of our children, and basically the world, that they have just taken over and just destroyed and flipped everything around. And it's just got to stop. And I believe we have already won. The light side has won. And it's just a matter of time, for lack of a better word. Um, I don't know. I keep getting the feeling like um, it's gonna split somehow. Said this to my daughter like a couple years ago, that it feels like there's two realities, or I don't know if it's considered a timeline split or something like that, but they're gonna just separate. And I don't know where it's going, or how it's gonna manifest. I can't say I know that because I don't, but I just get these different I don't know what to call them. I really don't. And I don't claim to be like psychic, but I am clairsentient, so I really pick up things on a feeling kind of level. And I live very intuitively. I do what my gut tells me, and a lot of times it's like I question myself, but only to find out later that I was right all along for the most part. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit that I was wrong and take it back, or tell you what I said wrong or what I found out was different. Then it's just it changes sometimes from day to day. Like it's like, oh wow, you think something, and then you hear something else, and then you change your thinking and back and forth and all this stuff. But stay with your gut, because that's where it's at. Your gut is like I don't know, it's almost like your God in a way. Like I'm trying to sort out the whole God thing, because I don't think that it's a male God. I think it's a male-female God that has to have both aspects of us in there. It can't be just one patriarchal God like everything else in this world is, based on that patriarchy and stuff. And this is all crumbling down now. You can see it happening around you if you're awake and aware of your surroundings. You'll start to pick up some of these things. And don't be afraid to question things. I mean, at least question yourself. And it's kind of hard without having somebody to talk things through. I wish my daughter was more awake, and she is on some level, but not mainly. She can't. There's some things I just can't talk to her about. She can't accept it, and it's just heartbreaking when you can't do anything about it, especially when you're their parent. Like she's gotten the jab twice, and now she's pregnant, and I don't know what will become of that. I mean, there are I don't know if it'll affect the child autistically, because that seems to be what's happening to a lot of people. They're having autistic children. I think now it's like 1 out of 25 or 24, something like that. It's really high compared to what it never was that before. I never even heard of autism until, I don't know, it's not been very long, I'll tell you that. And it's kind of funny that I attract a lot of these young millennials, mostly males. I call them millennials, and they come into my orbit. It's not a sexual thing or anything. Although I've been hit on a couple times by really young guys, like in their late 20s and early 30s. And so this could be programming or whatever, I don't know. But I don't try to, encourage that at all. But it's kind of weird how and then I noticed too that quite a few of them are autistic. So why do I have these young autistic men coming into my life? I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I guess we'll see down the line. I don't know. But I don't know, I was going to say backed off a little bit, but I was at this dance on Friday night, and I had these young boys coming over and asking me to dance, and they didn't go over and ask other older women to dance. So I don't know what to make of that, I mean, I find it flattering, but at the same time, there's something else going on because this has been kind of going on for the last 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years, anyway. Um, so it's just kind of it's weird. I can hang out with these really young guys and communicate with them and everything, even though most of them are like normies. The closest one to anybody on my level would be Ariel, my friend Ariel, who some of you know who Ariel is. Ariel WXYZ is the name of his channel. So he's into astrology, and the thing that I like that he does the most is he's like teaches people to exercise without needing a gym, and he incorporates like yoga and martial arts sort of in the way that I incorporate yoga and dance. And I just recently became more interested in learning martial arts, so I will too incorporate that into my stuff that I do. But my main thing is dance. I love to dance, but there's hardly any places to go dancing, really. And I don't want to go to like I don't like country music, and that seems to be the only dances that are, or not the only ones, but the main ones that are available are like line dancing, and I just never got into that. I did it once a long time ago, like started first learning it, and I had new boots on, and I two-stepped my toenail right off of my big toe. It hurt so bad, and then it took over a year for it to grow back. So I don't think I'm going to be doing any country music line dancing type dances. I like to do jive, and this was like Lindy Hop and swing, which is similar to the jive. I want somebody to be spinning me around and throw me up in the air. I mean, I'm kind of out of shape a little bit because I haven't been dancing as much as I used to, but I'm sure I could get back into shape because this one guy that came and asked me to dance, I was watching him all night how good of a dancer he was, and it's like, shit, I wish I had a guy, a partner, a regular partner, that could dance like that. And damn, he came over and asked me to dance. It's like, oh shit. So I told myself, I don't know if I can keep up with you, but I'm going to try. And I did pretty good. So that was cool. So I don't know. I'm going to be seeking out, like a lady I met there was talking to me for a while, and she was telling me these different places where they like have dances, but the one that I was interested in is only like once a month or something. So I don't know about that. So I don't even know how long I'm going to be staying in this area because it's getting cold now and I'm going to have to go south. But I don't really want to leave because my daughter's up in Canada. Who got here saying something? Hi there, Drunken Surfer. Yeah, I'm pretty well, except that I'm really affected by the radiation and the frequencies. They're like, my face is cleared up quite a bit. I don't know if you remember how bad my face was. The nano cuts came through just fiercely on my face, my nose, and everything had it. So it's pretty much cleared up. And now it's kind of starting on my back a little bit. And on my scalp, and that means I might have to eventually shave my whole head off. Not my head, but my hair. I'm not cutting my head off. I'm not going that far. But I had really long hair. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that we're ever going to get rid of them, but I'm constantly detoxing and doing all these different things. Now, I started lately doing the lactic acid stuff and the salt water that I started like at the beginning of the year, I think has a big impact or effect. It would help everybody for anything because all diseases are toxic blood. These are all these diseases lately are all basically the same thing. Who is this? Is this somebody I don't recognize here? Arizona something? Okay, I'm missing some here. Arizona ass plaster. Okay, are you from Arizona? I used to live in Phoenix. I lived in Phoenix for 3 years, and how I did that, I don't know, because I didn't like it there. It was too hot, and I ended up with that damn valley fever, which is a fungus in my lung. I breathed it in somehow, probably maybe when I was horseback riding, because they say it stays dormant in the soil until it gets kicked up. And so I ended up going back to Pittsburgh and having surgery. So I have a scar that goes from here all the way under my breast up to here. So it's about a foot long, I guess. But I'd rather have had it there, because you can't really see it because my boobs kind of hang and cover it. But the other option would be through my back, which I wouldn't want a big old nasty scar on my back. And the scar's almost gone. I'm out here with these, there's 4 big, like, air conditioning units that keep clicking on and off. But standing out, I don't see the moon anywhere, so I don't even know if the moon's out. I don't know, one day it's full, then a week later it's full again. You know, this isn't how that's supposed to work. So, I don't know, I've been watching that stuff too, and knowing that the weather is being manipulated. I mean, you can't, if you're here on this earth long enough to know some of these conditions and things that are happening with the weather are not natural, had never happened before. I mean, even when I was down in, when I first left here last year to go on my little adventure, the first place I kind of stopped and hung out for a while was in Austin, Texas. And it friggin' snowed there. There was like an ice storm that went all the way up to Tennessee. And it went down into the teens. And thank God some guy at a farmer's market, one of the vendors, let me stay at his house for like 5 days to get through that cold weather. Because he goes, how are you going to survive in your car? It's going to be so cold. He says, come to my house, you can come. And he was really nice. He wasn't hitting on me. He was married. And he just let me stay there. First he said for 3 days, and then he let me stay for 5 days. And so it was really nice. I made him a lamb dinner and everything. And I was just really happy to have somebody like that, you know, wasn't like a YouTube person or anything. Because I actually met up with a few of my subs along the way. I don't know who that is. I'm getting there.